The following podcast is unscripted, uncensored, unfiltered, and uncut. Viewers' discretion is advised. From broadcaster,
that one's hit to center field and deep. This one's way back there, and it's gone. Lazar, an empty net chance. Lazar scores! Horford for three. He got it! Celtics up by 3. Al Horford, timeout Golden State.
To a podcaster?
How do you fire a coach who had 51 wins in the regular season? Can't be the worst defensive player of all time at multiple positions. First base, right field, center field, left field. You name it, you're probably bad at it. And then you can't go 1 for 89 with 78 strikeouts. And I'm not exaggerating that, and still playing the big leagues.
This is Sam's Beantown Beat. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode numero uno of Sam's Beantown Beat, live here on all of your streaming platforms. If you're listening live on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Pandora, hello to our audio viewers. And if you're watching live on YouTube, I'm currently waving to my face cam. Hello. How is everybody doing? Hopefully you guys are having a good week, a good day, a good month, a good 2022, a good life. So before we get into the meat of this podcast, I wanted to talk more about like my inspiration behind the podcast. This is the first episode. So I kind of want to break that down for you. So, about 5 or 6 months ago, I got a idea. Because if you guys remember, I did the, if you're an OG of my channel, I had a podcast with a buddy of mine named Andrew. We did the Andrew and Sam show, and we only did a few episodes of that, but it went really well. I had a lot of fun doing it, and we kind of stopped because our schedules kind of conflicted and whatnot. So I was like, oh, well, I kind of miss podcasting. I kind of miss just ranting and whatever and just being me, right? Ugh, I'm sorry. But yeah, I kind of missed doing that part of it. I loved broadcasting and I loved streaming, but I missed the podcasting. I missed just being able to talk and not having anybody tell me that I'm right or wrong, you know? So that's why I decided, I'm going to do a podcast. Fuck it. I'm going to do a podcast because why not, right? And that was exactly the number one thing was just fuck it. I'm going to do it because that is what I wanted to do from day one, right? Just F it. Yeah, so that was kind of the whole goal of it, was just to start like actually saying my opinions on things and not being sorry and not having regrets for them, because that's what I've been a loudmouth when it comes to sports my entire life. And kids at school always were like, well, oh, you want to know anything about sports, go talk to Sam, he'll tell you. I was that type of kid at school, and that was just who I was. And that it's not a bad thing either. It was a really cool thing that just people would come up to talk to me like, hey, did you catch the Patriots game over the weekend? And I was like, yes, I did. And talk shop for like 5 or 10 minutes. And that was really cool, So that was pretty much that was pretty much my life story when it comes to like just talking about sports or whatever, and just kind of like being I was once named the sports encyclopedia of my school, which is hilarious. But yeah, so I just kind of was like, all right, well, I think I should just at least talk about this because why not? At least think about it. And then I did it. I announced it and I did it. So, and that's where it brings us to right now. It is Saturday night for me. So I have no idea what's going to happen in the next 24 hours or whenever this gets put up on all your social media. Oh my God, all your streaming platforms. But it is Saturday night. It's currently 11 o'clock Eastern for me on Saturday night when I'm recording this. Let's hop into this. So first of all, I want to say the first episode is going to be me. I hope to have podcast guests throughout our adventure here, but for now, it's just going to be me unless we have a special guest or whatever. For now, let's get into the Bruins because they are in a really, really weird spot because they haven't done anything since Zaka. They really have not done much. And I'm kind of wondering why. Because the Bruins desperately need to clear cap space in order to sign Bergeron and Krejci and Zaka, and as well as try to figure out what you're going to do for Pastrnak contract extension, which would hopefully start next year in the 2023-2024 season. I'm sorry. There was something that was really bugging me. Hold on. Okay. For those who are listening, I had a booger sticking out on my nose. I'm sorry, TMI. Anyway, but currently I'm looking at the Bruins cap friendly. I have it up on my phone, and there is just nothing here that makes me go, wow, what a really good contract when it comes to the offensive department. Because it's all a mess. And it's all because of Don Sweeney, the Bruins general manager, who signs horrible contracts way too long or way too pricey to horrible players who don't deserve long-term or big money contracts. So now you put yourself in cap hell. You got 3 players you got to sign soon, and you got $4.7 million in cap space to do so, which is very tight. So you got to figure out how you're going to do that. Simple. You need to start chopping off some dead weight. As the expression goes, chopping off some heads, freeing up some dead weight. You know, who to cut, who to bring on. Is there any cheaper options that might be a little better to go for? Are you willing to give up some draft picks to get some players back? I mean, you have your first round pick to work with next year. You don't have a second round pick. You have your 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and a 7th. You have 5 picks to work, or not even that, 6 picks to work with in the next year, in the next draft coming up. I believe it's going to be in Arizona or Nashville, is what they're saying now. But the 2023 draft, the Bruins have 6 of 7 rounds of picks to work with. So you got to think that they're going to have to deal a couple of these guys to, or a couple players to free up some cap space. So that would be definitely ideal. I do believe there have been reports of Jimmy Murphy of Boston Hockey Now, who's an insider here in the New England area, is saying that the Bruins are interested or could be thinking about or kicking tires or any expression that you could use to bring in what's his name? Milan Lucic. I'm sorry. What? That son of a bitch. All right, Milan Lucic. I love this idea. From day one, I've always said that the Bruins will regret trading Lucic, and now we, more than ever, need somebody the caliber of Milan Lucic because he is a big dude, strong, physical, and knows how to use his size and knows how to throw down when needed. And that is something we've been missing on this team since Lucic and Sean Thornton left, in my opinion. You know, the 2019 Bruins had some fighters, absolutely. I won't deny that, but it was not the same as the 2011 Bruins. Just, they need some more guys who aren't afraid to kick some ass and take some names, and I think that is something that the Bruins have been lacking for years. And if they were to ever get Milan Lucic, you know, who is on he's on the other side of his career. You know, currently playing with Calgary, $34 million. 34 million. Oh my God. He is 34 years old. I'm sorry. He is worth $6 million. The Bruins need to free up some cap space to get him, but it definitely would not be the worst idea if you can trade a couple of players, throw in a couple picks, a massive package for Lucic. The Flames could take that. I don't know. It definitely is an option the Bruins need to consider, for sure. They need some size, and they need some guys who have balls on the team. So, there you go. Simple as that. So for the Bruins' sake, if they want to get rid of some people, the first suggestion is you look up and down your roster and you kind of think, all right, who on the offense needs to go? Who on the defense needs to go? And when I think offense and needs to go, and nobody will ever take this contract, but the first person I think of is Nick Foligno, who had 11 points last season, 2 goals, 9 assists, and he's making $3.8 million. And that makes me want to roll up in a ball and cry and bitch and moan about it, like every single logical human being should be right now when they look at that contract and they look at the amount of points and how much he was producing, or lack thereof. I'm sorry. He was just not it, you know. So the Bruins need to do something. And when it comes to the defense, when it comes to underproducing or somebody who needs to go, it's, I think, of 2 players, Mike Riley or Matt Grzelcyk. And the most logical option would be Riley, because nobody wants to take on a smaller sized defenseman. Riley, $3 million. Was he better than Grzelcyk last year? Yeah, but man, nobody's gonna really want a smaller defenseman, you know. Grzelcyk's okay. He was kind of overhyped. He's kind of just turned into a middle of the line, meh kind of a player who didn't really pan out well, you know? Simple. It just didn't really work out. I hate to be that guy who just says it. Is that a surprise for some people? Is that a spoiler? Like, yeah, Matt Grzelcyk, he's not great at all. Definitely needs definitely a change of scenery, or needs to step up his game and get his ass in gear, because that simply cannot happen. All right, simple as that. But the Bruins definitely need to move some contracts, move some players out that need to go. I don't think I've ever really talked about this. I talked about this on the Power Skate podcast I was on a couple of weeks ago with a couple of buddies of mine, Grant and Alex. But I was mentioning that, you know, they made the right move by getting Zacha, but they traded the wrong player. In my personal opinion, they did not need to trade Haula. I think they should have traded Nosek and a pick for Zacha. Would have been much better, because Nosek was not going to be anything more than a bottom 6 forward. It was just the way it was. And Zacha has the ability to be a middle or top 6 forward if he pans out really well, which I hope he does. I hope they get that contract figured out. They just need to figure out a way to clear cap space so they can officially sign those guys, Bergeron, Krejci, and Zacha. But they needed to move somebody to get Zacha. Unfortunately, it was Haula. I didn't like the move. I didn't want to see him go. But then again, where would you put him? Because you wouldn't put him on the 4th line, because that would just be a downgrade from the 2nd line, because Haula played really, really well last season. So I hope he does well in New Jersey. RFA moves like Stanika signing and all that stuff, like, that's great and all, but like, man, like, do something, make a splash, shake the organization to its core, you know, like, do something. Like, gosh, I don't know, man. It's a mess. The Bruins need to shake things up, and they got about a month and a half until training camp starts. Oh God, I hope the Bruins do something in the next 6 weeks or so before spring training. I'm thinking of baseball, because I'm what I'm going to get into next, but until training camp begins. Speaking of spring training, let's talk about baseball. The Red Sox. Yikes, man. That is definitely a yikes for me. As of the recording of this video, the Royals just walked off on the Red Sox. It was a 5-4 loss tonight, 43-65 Kansas City against the 54-55 Red Sox. Guys, hey, wake up. This is not play around. This is not anything, to mess around with, guys. This is serious. Okay, I thought the moves we made were okay. I don't think we did enough. But the addition of Hosmer and Pham I thought was maybe a big boost to the lineup and the offense. But Tommy Pham, he has not been all right, not been great so far. Hosmer had an RBI double last night. Didn't play tonight because he was a left-handed pitcher was on the mound, which made sense. But Reese McGuire's been okay, and then didn't get any pitching, and that was the one really big thing I wanted to see the Red Sox work on at the trade deadline was getting some enforcements for your bullpen and your starting pitching. Because Chris Sale, we don't know what he's going to do. And James Paxton, whenever the hell he comes back, because we haven't seen him all year because he got injured in spring training. And we don't know when he's going to actually make his Red Sox starting debut. Evaldi's been shaky. Winkowski looked good last night for me. Man, the Red Sox, man, what's going on? Like, they were on an arc to be like a decent team in the division, and now they're just boom, like they're absolutely pathetic, and I don't know what happened. It just the ship sailed too early, and they kind of just lost its wins in the middle of the season when that is the worst time you could lose it. They need to really turn this around. And I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what the Red Sox need to do to turn it around, but they need to turn it around quick. Because I'm kind of getting sick and tired of sitting here and, watching this team and just going, ugh, brother. Like, there's only a couple pitchers that are not for this, that are not involved in this. But most of the bullpen, when I see them up, I'm like, oh, here we go. Like Darwinizon Hernandez, or let's see here. Ryan Brazier, I go, ugh, here we go. Before he got released, it was, Valdez or whatever the case was. It just, ugh, The Red Sox need to at least split the series tomorrow. They play the Braves on Tuesday and Wednesday. They play the Orioles Thursday. It's a part of a makeup game, I believe. Yeah, it's a makeup game. And then they play the Yankees this weekend. Jeez, I don't know. Red Sox need to turn this shit around as soon as fucking possible. Holy shit. Oh my god, just this team is just so hard to watch. It's like I'd rather watch the Blue Jays than the freaking, Red Sox right now. Jeez, I don't know. I don't. Man, there's just so much stuff the Red Sox needed to do, and they just didn't do it. They didn't pull the trigger on getting a pitcher. I don't care. I didn't need to be an all-star caliber pitcher, just some actual decent pitching. Jeez, I don't know. Oh, brother. Well, I mean, the Red Sox are currently one game under 500. They are last in the American League East. And they are the 6th worst team in the AL right now. Guys, you're watching this, or you're listening to this right now. Cora, have a team meeting with this team and tell them to play better. Yell at them. Okay? 109 games into the season, you got 53 to go. You can turn this around. It's not impossible. I say do it now before it becomes impossible to turn around. Because I don't want this team going from American League Championship Series last year to bottom of the East again. Again and again and again. They go from first to worst, back to first, and worst again. They're never in the middle. Never. It's either they get really, really far in the playoffs, or they get absolutely annihilated in the playoffs, or they completely shit the bed and miss the playoffs completely. They're in dead last. Excuse me. God. I just don't want to see that happen. I just want them to put up a fight more than anything. I don't even care if they make the playoffs. I just want them to put up a fight. It's like they don't care. They should not be losing to the Kansas City Royals after beating the Astros 2 out of 3. You should not be losing to Kansas City Royals 2 out of the first 3 games. That is inexcusable. That is freaking-excusable, okay? You beat the Astros 2 out of 3 in Houston. That's a pretty hard thing to do. The Astros leading the AL West by a landslide. Pretty hard to win a series against Houston in their hometown. And then you go to Kansas City and completely fuck it up. 2 out of 3 so far you lost. You lost the first one 7-3. Granted, that home run by Salvador Perez maybe wasn't a home run. It hit the green pad right before the yellow line. I don't know if that was a home run. And then they won on Friday night. They won 7-4. I mean, hey, 7-4 is 7-4. It was 7-2 and or 7-1, and then the Red Sox, almost blew it in the 8th inning. But hey, a win's a win. And then the Red Sox lost 5-4 tonight. Endeavors. Hey, Rafi, I need you to do me a favor, buddy. Wake up. You only got 1 hit in the entire series. Now it's back in the first game. Tomorrow, when you play the Royals again, I'm foreshadowing the future. I need him to have a multi-home run day and break out of this 2-day slump. If he wants to be paid, he cannot be going 0 for 4 in back-to-back games. That can't happen. We cannot have that. Okay? Simple. They need to turn it around because they got to play the NL East leading Atlanta Braves. No, I'm sorry. The second place Atlanta Braves on Tuesday and Wednesday in Boston. Turn the Sale around, boys. Come on, and I'm not talking about Chris Sale. He's a. Speaking of Chris Sale, let's talk about Chris Sale. Chris Sale has turned into a liability more than your ace. He is not your ace anymore, unfortunately. It is Nathan Eovaldi, and that is sad. Or when he comes back from injury, Michael Wacha. Waka. Fozzie Bear from the Muppets. Michael Wacha was really, really good until he got hurt, which sucks. Hope he comes back soon. Eovaldi, he's been all right. Inconsistent. Didn't have a great start tonight. Had a good start on Monday against Houston. I don't know. Red Sox need to bounce back. They need some pitching. They need to be at the top of the order to wake up. Xander's been looking really good. Martinez has actually been playing all right. Some promise in that department. But they need to definitely turn it around, going into, into the middle of August, heading into September, into the final push. Do you think you're a playoff team? Because I don't. You're barely a major league team, let alone a playoff team. Chaim Bloom said that the Red Sox are still a definite postseason threat. He is pretty much the GM of the team. Chaim Bloom, with all due respect, what the hell are you talking about, and what kind of drugs are you on if you seriously think that on August 6th, 2022, by the time you're hearing this or seeing this, Monday, August 8th, that the Red Sox are playoff contenders? What are you smoking? I'd love to know. Dude, hey. Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Ooh, I'm a rhymer and I'm a poet. I didn't even know it. Shout out to Marshall Mathers. No, but snap into it. Snap back to reality, folks. The Red Sox are not going to make the playoffs. Not with this current core. I hope they do, but I don't see it. This team is not a playoff team. End of story. Hey, speaking of story, where's Trevor Story? He's hurt. Kike Hernandez out to the middle of this month. The Red Sox are battling so many injuries, but they shouldn't, regardless of injuries, they should not be losing to the Kansas City freaking Royals, who are a minor league team at best, who somehow play in one of the nicest stadiums in baseball. I don't get it. Moving on. Let's talk about Jackie Bradley Jr. for the Red Sox. Getting designated for assignment. Let's talk about this. Because Jackie Bradley Jr. was acquired right before the MLB lockout in December from the Milwaukee Brewers for Hunter Renfroe. Yeah, let's just trade one of our best players from last season for a guy who has amazing defense, don't get me wrong, but can't keep a 200 batting average to save his life. Like, I wonder what the thought process on Chaim Bloom's that front was. Oh, we need defense. Yeah, no, I'd rather have a 25 or 30 home run season than some dude hitting 180 with like 2 home runs and 6 RBIs. Like, what the hell are we doing here? And Renfroe is a good defender. Sure, he went quiet in the playoffs. So did Bobby Dahlbeck, and he's still here. So I don't get it. I don't understand the thought process of Chaim Bloom when he goes, yeah, let's just trade Hunter Renfroe, a dude who practically carried our offense through the COVID miscue in the middle of last year, carried the offense through like practically a couple of weeks, and somehow gets traded for a bag of chips and Jackie Bradley Jr., who we'd seen before. We knew what we were getting ourselves into, folks. So the fans who cheered for Jackie coming back to the Red Sox are fickle, in the sense they changed their opinions and feelings on Hunter Renfroe because, oh, we have our beloved Jackie Bradley Jr. back, as if he's some sort of god and he can help save us from this terrible thing of making the ALCS. Oh, so bad. Like, seriously, some of you fans are so freaking stupid if you believe that was a good trade. Because now Hunter Renfroe is tearing it up in Milwaukee, and when they were here last weekend playing the Red Sox, he homered in every single game. So what did we do? How did we benefit out of that? How did we benefit out of that trade? Spoiler alert. We didn't. That was Chaim Bloom being a goddamn moron. Simple. End of story. End of discussion. Done. Chaim Bloom was a moron, and he proved it with that trade, and then not doing a damn thing at the trade deadline when it comes to your pitching and your bullpen, and then not doing anything and saying you're a postseason contender. This guy makes me want to pull my hair out. I thought Dave Dombrowski was bad. This guy's even worse if he thinks of the Red Sox as playoff contenders looking at this shithole of a team. Anyway, moving on to more other news. The Boston Celtics, who are the Eastern Conference champions from last season, lost in the NBA Finals in Game 6 to the Warriors and were eliminated. The Warriors won the NBA championship. The Celtics have nothing to be ashamed of. They were a really good team all season long. They dominated the second half of the season, and they got to where they were because who's on their team and who showed up and who didn't. Jason Tatum was not good at all in the finals. But Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, and Al Horford were the really big 3 stars of the NBA Finals of the Celtics. And I hope that the Celtics do good next season. I hope they fight right back to the top, and I hope Tatum has a second chance at glory. Because I feel like his first shot wasn't so fair because they were playing an experienced Warriors team. If it was two completely or teams that hadn't made the finals in a while, I feel like the Celtics could have done really well. But since it was Golden State and they had been so experienced and dominant in the finals before, I feel like I'm not making excuses. Just saying, I feel like it was more of an experience thing. Curry versus Tatum, they got compared to, and Curry dominated Tatum. End of story. It was an experience thing. Tatum was inexperienced. He let the pressure of getting to the finals and winning the championship in his head. So much so that he let it over precede the fact that he was losing in the NBA Finals, and that's what happens. And that is why I think he deserves a second chance at the finals, and I hope they make it back next summer, because I hope they're not playing the Warriors, because I feel like they're going to get crushed every single time. So I hope the Celtics do good things. They made a huge trade in the middle of July, getting Dennis Schroeder and for a couple of bench players, and I'm like, Dennis Schroeder, no, I'm a moron. It's not Dennis Schroeder. It's Malcolm Brogdon, Sam. Malcolm Brogdon. Not Dennis Schroeder. Malcolm Brogdon. Wow. Wow. I am an idiot. Malcolm Brogdon. I almost said it again. Malcolm Brogdon coming to the Celtics for a couple of bench players. And honestly, that's a really, really good deal and a steal. The fact that you didn't have to give up Jaylen Brown for Brogdon was really huge for the team. So definitely a huge addition, a welcome addition to the starting lineup or the bench or the sixth man. Definitely another addition to the bench, which is welcome, is the addition of Danilo Gallinari. He's a big man. He can play he's a forward, plays small forward or power forward, and he also can shoot. Has a very, very good 3-pointer he can definitely work with. It's nice to see that. Pretty much another version of Al Horford, and besides he actually, but Horford's a little bit bigger than him, but still, Gallinari is a really, really solid player to bring into the bench, and definitely could be a useful bench scorer for sure. That definitely is not a bad thing to kind of get yourself into. Obviously, Bill Russell passing away last weekend was definitely sad to see. It was on Sunday, July 31st, I believe, is when he passed away. Yeah, definitely a really, really sad moment. When I heard about it, I had just gotten out of the shower and I looked at my phone. I go, "Oh shit, Bill Russell's dead." You know, one of the greatest players in Celtics history, one of the most key activists for the civil rights movement. It's so sad to see legends like that go, and it's heartbreaking, man. Same with Vin Scully. That's another one that really hurt me because for those who are just discovering me for the first time, I want to be a broadcaster when I'm older, and I'm going into college for it in about a month from now. And Vin Scully, he was the voice of the LA Dodgers and the MLB for 64 years. He was he started with the Brooklyn Dodgers, and he was 64 or 67. I believe it might have been 67. I will look that up right now. Vin Scully, length of time, 67 years. I'm sorry, 67 years he was in the voice of the LA Dodgers, and he was iconic because no matter what was going on the field, he was very calm, and a high fly ball in the deep left center, way back and gone. Like that's what he was, and he so calm yet so cool at the same time. He could you could make me believe that he was my friend, my brother, my uncle, my father, whatever. I never really got to hear Vince Scully live, but I've heard his stories and his calls, his best moments on the mic. Incredible. I connect with him. He was one of my favorite broadcasters, one of my heroes. Just for what he did for baseball and just what he was the voice of baseball. He's the greatest baseball broadcaster of all time, and nobody will ever top Vin. Those would be big shoes for Joe Davis to fill as the voice of the Dodgers now. But he's another really, really good one. And he's the head voice for Fox now that Joe Buck left Fox to go work Monday Night Football with ESPN. But he's the head voice for baseball now. So that's really a big deal for him. But anyway, don't want to sidetrack. Back to Bill Russell. One of the greatest Celtics players of all time, an 11-time champion, 9-time as a player, 2 as a coach. He definitely has my respect and admiration for what he did, not only on the floor, but for Black people. And it was just weird at that time because at that time, Boston was not the most accepting town. And, they were very, very, I don't want to say racist, but very ooh, what's this black guy doing here? Like that is what people thought of black people back at that time. But damn, he was really, really good on the floor. He was one of the best basketball players of all time, easily in the top 10 or 15, and just so iconic. The greatest champion in sports history, and just to see him go is so, so sad. He lived a good life, though. Lived a good life. Him and Vince Scully, um, both lived really good lives. So obviously, um, very, very sad to hear the news of their passings and such. Um, yeah. So the New England Patriots. This is, if you're a football fan, this is the best time of the year because football's coming back real, real soon. Next, it's starting on Thursday. The Patriots week 1, they're playing the New York Giants in the preseason at Gillette Stadium this Thursday night. You know, I'm really excited to see what this Patriots team looks like. I can't wait to get an idea of what the 53-man roster looks like next year. You know, more of the same, or is it going to be something a little different? You know, there was some promising pieces coming out of the draft. But my question is, the Patriots did not do a whole lot this free agency that I'm aware of. I mean, they extended Jake Bailey and Devon Gottschall, but other than that, they didn't do a whole lot to kind of say, okay, well, last year was a trial and error, and now this year we're going to be, you know, legit. You know what I mean? Like, it just wasn't the best year. Patriots finished what, 10-7? Like, okay. Yikes. For Patriots, that's not too great. You know, you look at the roster, it looks decent. I can't wait to see more of what Ramondre Stevenson does this year, as well as I want to see more of Damian Harris. The wide receivers look pretty interesting with the additions of Devontae Parker and you know, and bringing back guys like Kendrick Bourne and Nelson Aguilar. This team looks pretty interesting. Jacoby Myers looks good. He looked good last season, and he'll look good this year. And you know, the tight ends with Jonnu Smith and you know, Hunter Henry. I can only see what the Patriots team looks like in the offense. Their defense is going to be a little interesting, though. You know, without Jason McCourty being there, but you got to think Malcolm Butler came back. Still got Matt Judon. You still got Jawan Bentley. You still got that side ready to go. Duggar looked good as a safety next year. I think he'll take a more prominent role this year. You know, Joejuan Williams, good corner. Jalen Mills is there. You let man, geez, you know, for the Patriots, they let some people walk who I don't agree with letting them, you know, letting them walk, including J.C. Jackson and Kyle Van Noy getting paid a lot of money to go to the Chargers. It's just like, you know, like it's kind of like, really, you know, but it's definitely gonna be an interesting year to see what the Patriots do. I'm excited for the start of the football season. I always get excited for football. Definitely something to keep my eyes on for sure when I'm in college, just watching games and just enjoying football as best I can, dude. Enjoying football. Definitely gonna be an interesting year for the Patriots. What is Mac Jones gonna bring year 2? Is he gonna be better than he was last year? Because Mac Jones, I can confidently say, was the best quarterback out of the draft last year. He was definitely a really good quarterback last year. Definitely has some things to work on, some things to improve on, but out of year 1, he looked pretty good. I mean, I just hope to see more improvement in year 2, and if he can improve himself in a better way, if he can improve his arm a little bit and his ability to roll out of the pocket a little bit better. Hopefully he has a decent offensive line in front of him to kind of help him out of that situation. And hopefully everything goes well. I'm very interested to see what Mac Jones does this year. I'm really excited to see what he does. Obviously, I get excited every year. It's football. Of course, I'm going to be excited for football all the time. All right, well, it pretty much wraps things up. So now this is the good part. We are now going to get into some questions that you guys asked me to answer live here on the podcast. So we're going to go through them right now. We're going to go to my Instagram right now, and there are 7 questions to answer on my Instagram. So we're going to answer them right now. All right. So first of all, we got a question. What do the Bruins need to do to improve the lineup? So, the first thing I need to do is, sign the people you need to sign. Top line, Bergeron. Make sure he's locked up for the next season. The next 2, if he wants to play 20 years, then call it. That's fine. Then Krejci. Improve Krejci. Get Krejci signed. If he wants to come back, make sure that's done. That's your second line center right there. Krejci, Hall, Pastrnak on that second line. It's going to be incredible. Make sure you get Zacha and free up some cap space and go get some defense. Then go get some pieces on the right side for defense. I don't want to see Clifton ever again. Sorry, I don't want him. So that's the end of story. I want to see the Bruins do some stuff. I want to see more. I want to see more of Chris Wagner this offseason. I want to see this next season. I want to see, if comes to it, I want to see a little bit of Fabian Lysell on the Boston Bruins. I hope to see him in Providence. Hopefully he does well in Providence. And you can just hope for the best. This is going to be an interesting year. The Bruins are not looking too good on their roster. A lot of unanswered questions, and I need answers quickly. They need to fill their holes. Bergeron and Krejci need to sign. Zacha needs to sign. You clear out some cap space to go, be able to do that and work on Pasternak's contract extension, which needs to happen. And pay him whatever the hell he wants. If he wants $11 million, he's getting $11 million. Sorry. Another question here, back to the Patriots. Does Taquan Thornton make the 53-man roster? I hope so. I've heard a lot of good things about him coming out of training camp. I want to see what he does in the preseason. Getting rid of N'Keal Harry for a bag of chips, a 7th-round pick, definitely a good move for the Patriots. He was not doing well here. Because the problem with N'Keal Harry was he was never great. Like, he could catch, but he didn't run. Like, he caught it and then went down. I've seen that many times with him, and I'm not sure why. I don't know who put that in his head just to go down. But that's never a good idea unless you actually have to, But if Taquan Thornton proves himself to be the number one, proves himself to be worthy of playing on the 53-man roster, then I'm all for it. Second round, I thought he was going to go first. He looked like one of the best wide receivers in the combine. Went mid-second round, and I thought he was going to go late first, but hopefully to steal. Somebody asked me back to the Red Sox, how do you feel about the Hosmer trade? I feel really good about the trade because we practically gave up nothing. We're paying practically nothing for a gold gloving, 4-time All-Star and a world champion, in a former world champion, Eric Hosmer. He is on the other side of his career. But it's definitely going to be a very good time for Eric Hosmer to be the number 1 first baseman. It's good for Hosmer and Dahlbeck because you can now split time. Hosmer's a left-handed batter. Bobby's a right-handed batter. You usually like to face the opposite of your batting stance. If you're a lefty, you face a righty preferably. So if you could split that up, so Hosmer can play on days when there's a right-handed pitcher, and Dahlbeck can play on days when there's a left-handed pitcher. It's not a bad thing at all. I think Hosmer could do a really good job. He had an RBI double last night. He didn't play tonight because it was a left-handed pitcher. I'm sure he'll play tomorrow, as I think it's a right-hander tomorrow. But hopefully Hosmer pans out. I'm happy about it. But other than that, yeesh. Not looking too good. What do you see in the next 5 years from the Pats? As much as I want to say Super Bowl, I cannot say Super Bowl. And the reason why is because we don't know what the future holds, right? Is Bill Belichick going to be the New England coach in the next 5 years? That's a good question. I don't know. Probably not, to be perfectly honest with you. How does Mac Jones do in years 3, 4, 5, 6, so on and so forth? How is he going to do? Is he going to be better than the year before? Or is he going to fall off? Is he going to be really, really good? Is he going to be the best quarterback of all time? Like, what is that going to look like for him? What is this team going to look like in the next 5 years? Who are we going to have? There's a lot of unanswered questions in the next 5 years. Do I think the Patriots going to win a Super Bowl? I don't know, because it's a lot of unanswered questions, right? So I don't know. This year I can't answer. I don't see much more than what we saw last year happening this year. Maybe 11-6, maybe second in the division because Miami got good. Maybe 11-6, maybe if we're good, if we're lucky. I don't know. We'll see. Who are two players that you're most excited to watch the Bruins and Patriots this season? I'm going to name one per. For the Patriots, Mac Jones, man. I'll do two. For the Patriots, Mac Jones, and I really am excited to see what Ramondre Stevenson does this year. Jones and Stevenson, because they were both really, really good last year. Jones, I can't wait to see what he does in year 2. And Stevenson, I can't wait to see if he's as good as he was last year. He was a little beast last year, and I hope he does more of the same this year. And for the Bruins, I got to think Zaka is one of them for sure. And if it all works out, is Jake DeBrusk going to be that consistent piece that we saw in the final 2 months of the season for the entire rest of the season next year? Is he going to be the top? Is he going to be one of the top right wingers on the team for the entirety of the season next year? It's a really interesting question. And for DeBrusk, I think he can do it. Can he get 30 goals in a season or 40? We'll see. I think he has the ability to. He played the best hockey of his career in the last 6 or 7 weeks of the regular season. He can definitely do it. What numbers do you think deserve to be put into the TD Garden rafters? Well, either 33 or 37 for Chara or Bergeron. And for the Celtics, I'm going to take a twist on this one. Because it's not just going to be TD Garden, because I know that's already inducted. I know LeBron's going to hate this. I think the number 6 should be retired everywhere in all 30 NBA arenas, just like Jackie Robinson's number 42 is retired in all 32 Major League stadiums in baseball. Seriously. What he did for basketball and for the civil rights movement was incredible. He deserves to have that honor, just like Jackie Robinson, in my personal opinion. So, that's that. And the last question coming from Instagram is favorite Red Sox game aside from one of our World Series games. Really good question. There was a lot of good ones. I'm going to give you one that I wasn't at and one that I was at. The one that I wasn't at that I would consider one of my favorites was, I believe it was 2013. Yeah, we won the World Series that year. Yeah, it was the Yankees and Red Sox at Fenway Park, Sunday Night Baseball. And I remember it was the first time A-Rod had appeared in Fenway Park since he came back from suspension, right? And I remember it like it was yesterday. Ryan Dempster was on the mound for the Red Sox. Ryan Dempster, who was on the mound. And I remember him throwing at A-Rod every single pitch of the first at-bat. Threw it near him 3 times in a row and then hit him with the 4th pitch. And A-Rod was like, all right. And then Joe Girardi, the Yankees manager at the time, comes screaming out of the dugout and comes yelling at the home plate umpire. I think it was Joe West. And he's like, what? How is he not ejected? He threw it at my player 4 times in a row. So it was a whole bunch of nonsense. It was so funny. And the game was crazy itself besides that. I remember I didn't stay up to this part, but I remember seeing the highlights and just going, wow. That game, Mike Napoli hit a walk-off home run in the bottom of I want to say the 12th inning, 11th or 12th inning. and the Red Sox won 8-7 that game. That was insane. Absolutely bonkers. I can't believe it. That game happened. It was just insane. And one game, and the favorite Red Sox game that I've personally been to, it might have been the same series, because I remember I was at a game in 2013 when the Red Sox played the Yankees. It might have been that same series. I'm not sure. It was the first MLB game to ever be broadcast on the FS1 Fox Sports 1 network. I was there, and it was my highly departed grandfather, my father, and me. At that game, I was, I want to say 9 years old. Yeah, I just turned 9 a couple weeks prior. It was actually coming up on the 9-year anniversary of this game. And it was just so fun. We were sitting first base line. Incredible seats. And we saw David Ortiz hit a home run. The Red Sox won that game like 5-2, whatever. Definitely a really, really cool game. Speaking of that, hold on. Favorite Red Sox game, there's another funny story about me, because it's my podcast. So I'm going to tell this story because it's pretty relevant. This happened almost 18 years to the day. So the Yankees Red Sox Brawl in 2004. I'm going to tell this story. And my mom's going to love the fact that I tell this story. But I'm putting it out there so everybody can hear it because I think it's funny. My mom was like super close to having me. This was in 2004. She was like 38 or 37, 38, 39 weeks pregnant. Like, she was so close to having me. And my dad had gone to the bathroom upstairs, and the Red Sox were playing the Yankees at Fenway Park in that warm July afternoon, 2004. And all of a sudden, Mom's watching the game, and she goes, "Oh my God, they're fighting!" Yells up the stairs, yells up at my dad, "Hun, they're fighting downstairs. They're fighting on the TV. The Yankees and Red Sox are brawling it out." So apparently, after my dad gathered himself, he comes running downstairs, apparently, and watches them as the Yankees and Red Sox are brawling it out on the middle of the field. Just funny how that all worked out. My mom, and then literally like a week later, my mom went into labor and had me. So there you go. It was just so funny and ironic how that worked out. And then the Red Sox would go on to break the curse that year. The curse of the Bambino. If you don't know what that is, I'll explain. First of all, you live under a rock. The Red Sox went 86 years without winning a World Series from 1918 all the way to 2004. And I was about 2 or 3 months old when the Red Sox won the World Series the first time in 86 years. So, second longest baseball championship drought ever, besides the Chicago Cubs with 108 years. Figured I'd tell that story. Just kind of funny how that all worked out for sure. Let's pull up my YouTube comments, guys. I did ask on the YouTube interwebs what some questions that you guys have for me. Are you going to talk about other sports teams based in New England? Yes, I did here on this podcast, and yes, I absolutely did. Have you ever been to a Patriots game? No, I have not. I have not done that one yet. Words. The Patriots are only the big four New England sports teams that I have not been to live. I want to. I'm going to be 15 minutes from Gillette Stadium when I go to campus. Yeah, when I go to college, I hope I go to one of the games once in a while. Have you ever been to a Red Sox game? I've been to many. I went to one about 2 months ago. They were playing the Athletics in the middle of the afternoon on a Thursday. They lost. Have you ever been to a Celtics game? I have. A couple preseason games when they're here, when they're in my state, or if I went to a game down at the TD Garden, Super Bowl Sunday 2014, they were playing the Orlando Magic. I was there live. Have you ever been to a Bruins game? Yes, I have been to a Bruins game. I've been to 2 in my lifetime. I want to go to again. I want to go to another one. I went to a game in 2010. They were playing the Carolina Hurricanes. Remember, they lost that game. Sad. And then 2011, November 2011, They were playing the Buffalo Sabres at TD Garden, and yes, if you're adding up, that was the game where Milan Lucic drilled Ryan Miller. I was sitting behind the hard camera, where it pans from side to side. I was sitting behind that in the nosebleeds, but in like the second or third row of the upper level at TD Garden, and I was like, I could see everything correctly. Like the logo was facing the right way. The home goal was left, the away goal was right, like always. I don't know if you watch a normal Bruins game. So that's what it was. And I saw Milan Lucic nail the goalie live in person. 7-year-old me seeing Milan Lucic drill the goalie. It was me and my dad. I was there. And we'll never forget it. We'll never, ever forget it. It was simply awesome. I can't believe I was there to see that. One of the most iconic Bruins moments in the past decade, and I was there. Insane. Yeah, so fun. Definitely was a moment that I'll never forget. And I hope to go to a Bruins game again. I hope to go to a Bruins game very, very soon. I'm trying to see if there's any more questions that come in before I wrap up the podcast, and I'm not seeing any. So, that's it. Thank you for listening and watching to the first edition of the Sam's Beantown Beat podcast. If you enjoyed this podcast on the YouTube side of things, make sure to please drop a like on the podcast. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make sure you turn on your post notifications as well. Follow me on my other social media platforms, on my Instagram and on my TikTok. It's at samsmith.yt on those platforms. And if you like this on Spotify, Pandora, or Apple Podcasts, do what you need to do. Follow me or subscribe or whatever it is. I haven't quite figured it out yet. But whatever it is that you have to do to show me some support on those streaming platforms, definitely do so. Really, really appreciate it if you did. This is it. The first ever edition of Sam's Beantown Beat has come to a close. This will be coming out every Monday at the same time. Thank you so much for listening and watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next episode, and I will hear you guys. You will see and hear me in the next edition of Sam's Beantown Beat. Thank you for watching. Have a great rest of your day, y'all. And this was Sam's Beantown Beat. Thank you for listening to this episode of Sam's Beantown Beat. Make sure to follow me on social media at Instagram and TikTok at samsmith.yt. You definitely want to follow me on those platforms. Make sure to show some love to the podcast, whether you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Pandora, or if you're watching on YouTube. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and we'll see you in the next episode next Monday.